clearly it's really quiet if I can't even do that loud at all. But what's good, y'all? It's Project Man. Today we're back with another video. This is us about to talk about Austin Theory and his recent booking, and how I saw Monday Night Raw last night. It was still a show that I was like, especially when you're trying to hype up Survivor Series. I wasn't feeling it, but Austin Theory definitely showed a new level of aggression, and I thought it was good. But the only problem is a lot of people's booking. I don't know how much it gets affected by trying to build up Austin Theory, because when you build up people, you don't want to do that by breaking people down. So the only issue is, okay, so where does Dolph Ziggler go after this? Which I know is nowhere, because they haven't booked him correctly in a long time, or given him a push in a long time. But which is criminal. But Austin Theory, he's getting pushed up now because they tried to make it make sense by creating the whole narrative of he has nothing to lose now that he doesn't have the briefcase anymore, and he actually cut the promo. I personally thought, if I was in his position, that I would cut, in a sense of saying, he couldn't cash in on the bloodline because he always, everyone, he was getting knocked out. Brock Lesnar was there, the Usos were there, and so he always had somebody protecting him. I thought of that as a thing to mention in his promo if I were him. So that's crazy that he was using some of the lines I was thinking of that he would say. And then he said he would cash in on the next best thing, which is which has been a part of the greats in the United States Championship. And the reason why I was like that, I was like, okay, bro, because I'm like, you didn't even go after a spot like NXT World Title would have made more sense, because at least you're going after something that has the world title name behind it. So as in, even if it's NXT, a top guy has this championship, so that, or this championship represents the top guy on this brand. So you would have thought that you would go after something that has the world title name behind it and who represents their world champion on their brand. So you would go to their brand and get their world champions championship. But they made it to where, and I was one of those people who said he shouldn't go after the NXT title, because then it kind of makes him look like, wow, you can't, you really had to settle for that as opposed to going after the top championship in the main roster. But seeing what they did, that would have seemed like the best idea ever, with how what we ended up getting made that decision look like the greatest idea someone's ever come up with since sliced bread or the creation of my channel. But anyway, it's just one of those things where I know they're trying. It was a good promo backstage, but it's like, I know they're trying to. And again, my thing is, he was fired up all night, right? Attacked Rollins after the main event match was over, and beat up Dolph Ziggler. But my thing is, when you realize you were taking all these losses on Monday Night Raw while you still had the briefcase, where was this fired up Austin Theory? That's what I'm saying. That's where, this is what people mean by, like, that was a bad booking decision, with having him do the whole failed cash in on an open challenge on the U.S. Championship. It was weird because you were like, for obvious reasons, in a sense of, one, why would you cash in on the mid-card title and on an open challenge? So you could have just asked for you should have just asked for the championship. You didn't have to use your Money in the Bank briefcase. There's that idiocracy. But then the other problem is, why weren't you this fired up with the the briefcase is meant, like, people like Edge and Seth have hugely benefited from the briefcase in terms of, like, character development and just the overall big turning point in their career that was with the Money in the Bank briefcase. That should have been the same thing for Austin Theory. So it's like, the thing that's stupid is, where was all this fire when you were losing like 3 times back to back Monday Night Raws of you losing? Where was that energy? Why weren't you fired up then? So it was cool to see on Monday Night Raw. Like I said, I'm glad I still think he's buried. I just think this is them removing a couple of layers to get him out of there, because they saw, like, an Undertaker-esque. They saw that hand come up from the grave and they started digging up, but they ain't got him out yet. That's what I think they're doing. They're keep trying to get him out right now. And like I said, props to them, because at least they started, like, tonight, like, because it happened last week. So at least they started tonight, so I give them credit for that. But he's not, because everyone's going to go, well, see, I told you he's not buried. They're going to say that. And meanwhile, I'm sitting here like, he's still buried, bro. If all it took was beating people up to be unburied, then Ricochet would have been unburied the second he uh, beat someone up after he was losing all those times. Or Ricochet being a jobber, all he had to do was beat somebody up the next week, and you're thinking Ricochet's unburied. So that's what I'm saying. People are so convinced that Triple H always had this big plan for Austin Theory, but in reality, bro, they made a bad decision, and now they know they have to book Austin Theory, the best that they can. That's what happened. I don't think there was ever this ultimate plan, and that's my thing. Even if there is this ultimate plan to have him like reignite a fire inside of him that he needs to, really be a top guy and, give off that presence. Why do you have to? I don't. I never understood this. Why do you have to bury someone for them to feel the need to get back and feel like, that vengeance and want to attack people and want to beat people up and want to go after a championship? Why do they have to be so down on their luck for them to feel that way? Why aren't they feeling that way the second they lose 2 straight matches? That's when I start feeling fired up. I'm like, hold on, I can't. Like, I'm not gonna wait till my downfall to start wanting to get aggressive and feel vengeance. I'm not gonna wait till I lose 15 straight matches in a row and my Money in the Bank briefcase. I'm not gonna wait till I lose everything that I have to start feeling fired up. Like, feel fired up the second you lost twice. Second you lose twice, I'm like, because, one is like, all right, slip up a little bit, regroup. Twice is like, all right, now we're not going to start this downward spiral of losing matches in a row. So that's my thing. Like, you don't have to have somebody booked poorly to then give them better booking when they come back or the next week. Like, you don't have to, you can have them have that fire without them losing and quite terribly, and burying them. They don't have to get buried to feel that fire inside them to make them want to fight back. Like, it makes them look stupid because it's like, okay, you're fired up and it's cool, but where was all this when you were losing all those matches in a row? I mean, the briefcase wasn't going well for you in the first place. So why were you? Because some people may make an argument. Well, he had the briefcase, so that's why he was okay with taking all the losses. But you couldn't even cash that in successfully. So how are you happy that you have the briefcase if you tried to get rid of it on multiple occasions and failed by way of getting stopped by somebody? So I never made sense to me of why people, like, I've seen it in wrestling before, like they'll wait till someone is buried or like just really down on their luck to then want to reignite a fire. I think it happened to the Viking Raiders. Like, they weren't booked correctly, so they had to repackage them and bring them back multiple times. All this new and improved Viking Raiders, the vicious Viking Raiders, like all these repackaged. And I'm like, no, just have them start winning. They don't have to add trademarks to who they are now. Now they're even newer than what the new Viking. Now they're the even newer Viking Raiders. I never understood that. Like, just have them start winning and dominating. We'll start believing in them week after week. We'll start growing our belief in them and their credibility grows. You don't have to keep giving them new names and having them take a break and come back. Like, you don't have to keep doing that. But that's my take on Austin Theory. That's all I want to talk about, really. Because nothing else on the show really worth talking about happened. The War Games thing, they still haven't really built War Games in a sense of, well, we got AJ versus Finn Balor, so we obviously know that's going to be a good match. I'm glad they haven't overdone that match. I think this only happened one time, and it was against the Demon character. So at least AJ versus Finn Balor, obviously we know it's going to be a good match. They know each other, they have chemistry in the ring. So I'm actually glad that they haven't overplayed that match. So that way, them fighting in Survivor Series don't seem like, oh, this is like the 17th time they fought. So this is actually, I think, in WWE only the second time they fought. So at least they haven't overdone that match. So for it to be a Survivor Series, I'm fine with. But right now, I think it's just that match and Shotzi versus Ronda. I think those are the only announced matches at Survivor Series. Like, the War Games isn't even complete yet. Because I think Bianca's team still has a member left, which I have no idea who that's going to be. Because everybody was saying the last 2 members on their team was going to be Sasha Banks and Naomi, but now it's Mia Yim and it's one other person. Hope at least that's Sasha Banks, but because yeah, Bailey's team is complete. It's 5-on-5, so they got Rhea and Nikki. Obviously, the Damage Control is 3 already, so uh, yeah, man. But nothing else worthy happened. Oh yeah, the one of the better things on the show, Chad Gable finally got a win. What? And it was against Matt Riddle, so it was somebody you knew. So I thought that was great because he has been on a losing streak. For someone who's such a great wrestler, they don't book him like he's a great wrestler. I mean, he's obviously he reminds you of Kurt Angle in the sense of how real in real life how great of a wrestler he is, and he's funny. That was Kurt Angle. So I don't know why they didn't make him kind of similar to that in his booking at least. Make him similar to that, or like remind you of a Kurt Angle in the sense of like a top guy who can really wrestle legitimately, can really be at the top. But yeah, I don't understand why he wasn't pushed, or at least taking a lot less L's. So hope that their tag team Alpha Academy at least that gets booked better, and that yeah, he collects more wins. I mean, I like seeing Chad Gable win, man. That was crazy to see him beat Matt Riddle. So it was great to see, and it's finally not feeling. It was the first time he didn't job to somebody in I don't know how long, but that was a cool part of the show as well that probably a lot of people didn't think about or thought that was something to point out, but it was good, man. But that was all I was going to talk about. Just the burial of Austin Theory and how they're kind of trying to, well, because they have to with all the backlash, they're trying to unbury him a bit, but they got long ways to go before at least people like me take him seriously and don't just drop everything just because we see you're doing better with him the next week. We're not just gonna all of a sudden forget like it wouldn't last week. So people like me is like it's gonna take some really big storylines and a lot of wins on Austin Theory's record for us to start taking him seriously and like forget it and try to not even erase it, but just at least that no longer like anchors him from being a credible star, top star, main event guy on the main roster down the line. But that's all I want to talk about, y'all. If you made this far in the video, like, comment, subscribe. Love you guys, the Prodigy, and I'm out. Peace.